I have the Heat. And I think the pick here for most is going to be Caleb Martin. And I do think it's important to sort of distinguish between like this guy's having a breakout season and showing stuff that he never did before, than just assuming he's underrated. And he is among the most well-rounded players in the roster. So I'm not taking anything away from him. He's been really good. I think I'm going to go with PJ Tucker, which seems so bizarre to do when he is in his age 88 season, but it's actually age 36. And I know he hasn't been shooting as well from beyond the arc since for a minute, but he has been so good for them. When you look at all he can still do on defense at his age, he has for the most part this season where he couldn't hit a corner three for Milwaukee. He's been able to hit corner threes at a very high clip again for the entire season in Miami. And the other thing is like the Heat have him making decisions with the ball in his hands for stretches. And a lot of that was born from they had these injuries, but like someone who would pass out of the post or just finding cutters and making these reads in transition. He has been a joy to watch with the Heat. And I think I don't want to say this is a case of a 36-year-old player reinventing himself, but he was used in such a specific way for so long, in part because he was in Houston with James Harden and then Chris Paul, like during that era of basketball, to where they didn't want him to do anything else. And then you go to Milwaukee where it's kind of the same deal. I think he was more valuable to their defense than anyone really understood. They focused on him missing shots, but like you come in mid-season and they're not necessarily a team that's built for you to do more. And then you're in Miami where I wouldn't call their offense egalitarian, but because of the stuff that Kyle Lowry would do away from the ball, ditto with Bam Adebayo, and then also just the injuries, you're seeing him do a little bit more. And again, he has tapered off in recent weeks, but he has been so like, I wouldn't think that PJ Tucker would be like this super fun player to watch on offense of all things. And lo and behold, whether you want to credit the Heat, Eric Spoelstra, PJ Tucker himself, is it that Jimmy Butler work ethic, hashtag Heat culture, that's just so contagious. It rejuvenated PJ Tucker. I know some people are concerned about their half-court offense looking ahead to the postseason, but when you can defend like they can, and you have someone like PJ Tucker, who is basically positionless himself on defense, that's going to go a long way. And this is a real postseason championship caliber team needle nudger, which is not something that's common when you're talking about, I don't want to use the word role player like as a criticism, but that's what he is. And just also the fact that he's averaging almost since the trade deadline 30 minutes per game still. 36 years old, just has a ton of miles on his body, especially when you look at the workload he shouldered defensively all these years. I've just grown this new fondness and appreciation for PJ Tucker.
No, you hit it exactly, because his last couple teams, he was just put in a position where it was like, you're supposed to do two things and that's it. And then he ends up on a Heat team where the way that they play is kind of everybody has to play basketball. It's not a specialist type of setup. You know, I mean, Bam Adebayo brings the ball up as often as anybody. That's just like because he can, but they move the ball a ton and everybody sort of has to do basketball stuff, which isn't just stand in the corner or, stand in the other corner, which were the two things PJ Tucker was asked to do, basically. The only other guys I'd mention, I think Tucker is the right pick. Both Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, I think, have been huge this year. I mean, Strus is a 40% three-point shooter that like gets him up at like basically Duncan Robinson level frequency, which is difficult to do. And Vincent, just every time he's in the game and starts, he's a capable out of nowhere ball handler, distributor, decent shooter. Hard to find those guys, and the Heat just always seem to. But I think Tucker is it. I have the Bucks.
I'm with you on Gabe Vincent, by the way, 100%. He's now an actual shooter when that was so much of a theory for a while, and he's been an actual, and just like some of the lineups where he's been the actual point guard, not playing with Kyle Lowry or Jimmy Butler, they've won those minutes. Like he's been big for them.